Welcome to Manifest This, Believer versus Skeptic, the podcast where belief meets doubt and ambition meets, well, a little healthy skepticism.
I'm Sharon, and I am skeptical and a realist at heart. I believe that hard work, late nights, and bottom lines produce results, but I'll play along.
And I'm Jennifer, your friendly manifester, who believes that mindset and energy can shape reality just as much as strategy and spreadsheets, and I would argue, probably a little bit more.
We've known each other since our 20s, coming up through the grind of traditional business. Now, I'm asking a question I never thought I would. Is manifestation real, or is it just a new age sales pitch?
Join us as we deep dive into what manifestation really is, how it might work in your favor, and what it takes to break through that inner skeptic.
Because let's be honest, we all want to believe, but no one likes the feeling that they're being deceived.
So whether you're a dreamer or a doubter, tune in because I'm going to challenge Sharon to shift her perspective.
And I'm going to challenge Jennifer right back.
And every week there will be an opportunity to put this to the test. So stick around. We're about to find out if there's more to manifestation than meets the eye.
Well, my believer friend, how are you doing today?
I'm believing.
That's fantastic. And I remain a skeptic, as you know I do, because I'm extraordinarily practical.
So just because you're rational doesn't mean you can't have some bold asks and dreams, right?
Yes. How about we put in that I'm terribly risk averse?
But
How's that?
So risky, right? If you ask and you don't get, no harm, no foul. It's not terribly risky to want more or to ask for more.
Well, and we know you give me homework.
I did. How did you do?
This is a pretty extraordinary week so far. Well, there's little things like wonderful dinners with friends who surprise me and just cover my meal for me, and it's joyful and sweet and unexpected. Though I love the company more than anything else. A couple of those happened this week, so bigger than a coffee. And as you know, I enjoy speaking on cruises, and Japan has been on my list of places to go for quite some time. And I received news this morning that I'll be headed to Japan. So I'm quite excited about that.
That's big. That's no coffee or
balloon. I know, it's ridiculous. No, it's a little bit bigger than a balloon.
But you see, I want to come back to, on the very first episode, you talked about confirmation bias. And I'm going to argue that when you start, and in the last episode, you talked about starting a list of delights. When you start to focus on all these tiny little things that are adding up and that are, in your word, a delight, in my word, they're little miracles. You start to focus on the miracles, more miracles come. It's the law of attraction. When you start to focus on the things that are good, that are happening in your life, more good comes into your life and it gets bigger and bigger.
So I would argue that I've been working really hard on my talks and on my networking in order to get this finally across the line. So I sit here and go, well, was it manifested? Is it part of law of attraction? And I know you're going to tell me.
Well,
go ahead.
I'm going to argue for my position, right? So, but the cruise came to you. You could have gone, you could have booked the dates, you could have forced it to happen. The dates came to you, the cruise came to you, you were made an offer. That is manifesting in its purest form.
Okay, so what I was anticipating you saying was there's action in law of attraction, and that the action that I was working towards is part of the law of attraction. You could see I have a bit of a brain fart getting over that line.
And so, again, this is a big topic, but you're right. You were taking inspired action. You weren't forcing something that didn't come natural to you. You were just doing what you love, which is writing talks for cruise ships. You love that. You've done it. And you didn't have one lined up. You just kept writing in anticipation of the next one that might come. And look at what happened. And guess what? Now you need that speech. It's like this podcast, right?
Yeah.
This morning, I wrote in my dream book that will, again, I keep dropping that. We'll talk about that in one episode. We'll talk about the dream book. This morning, I wrote in my dream book that I want the universe to take this podcast where no podcast has ever gone before. I want the universe to show us out. I want it to help us help others understand how powerful this concept and this material is. And I want it to earn a living for you and I beyond our wildest dreams. I can't do that by myself. Even if I work every hour in every day, there's going to be some magic involved that comes from a hand from the universe that's going to say, your wish is my command, Jennifer. Let's go. So let's see what happens, right? I just threw it right out there.
Well, and here's the thing, to continue with the Star Trek theme, because I am a bit of a Star Trek nerd. What you're telling me right now is resistance
Resistance
is
is futile,
futile.
but it's one of the biggest manifestation mistakes you can make. So,
Tell me more about
you
that.
know, this is for the skeptics. The skeptics will come forward and say, yeah, but it didn't happen, or yeah, I didn't get it, or it's taking too long, or it's never going to work. Well, guess what? Your wish is my command. You are right. So, some of the biggest reasons why manifestations don't happen are the following: doubt and resistance. If deep down you don't believe it's possible, it's not possible. Okay. Number two, forcing versus allowing. That's what I mean about your trip to Japan. You could have forced it. You could have forced the dates. You could have forced the whole thing. And trying too hard actually increases resistance, because what it says to the universe is she really doesn't believe I can help her. So she's going to do it all on her own muscle. So, okay, I'm going to let you do it all on your own muscle. Number three. Okay, go ahead.
So let's take,
Yeah.
before you hit number 3, let's take a moment and look at timing. Because I think that that's a very interesting piece in all of this. Because often, I mean, I'm an extraordinarily impatient individual. I want things moving at a pace. I think you and I, both having been in business for the many years that we were, are people who want things moving at pace. Talk to me a little bit about timing in all of these things.
So I have a dear yoga instructor back in Toronto, and sometimes I'll go into her class and I'll say, Mandy, I'm really sorry, but this came in the way, or this has happened, or this has happened. And she'll have these big yoga retreat weekends, and I will have the best intentions of going, but she'll say, I'll say to her, I'm sorry, I just can't make it, feeling like I'm doing her a disservice by me physically not being in her class. And you know what she always says to me? Divine timing, Jennifer. When the time is right, it will land for you and it will land for me. She doesn't look at herself as being out of pocket for me not being there. She always says, there is divine timing at play here. You can't control everybody else. All you can control is your own mindset and your own intentions. Some of the things we're asking for are big, right? Like, think of the thing I just asked for, to take this podcast where no podcast has ever gone before. That's big. So you got to believe the universe or God or inner being or soul or source, whatever you want to call this massive power that we have access to. It's moving things. It's taking its hand and saying, okay, I got to get this out of the way over here. I got to put that person over there. This needs to happen. She's not ready for that yet. So I've got to make this happen first. Like, the orchestrations of some of the things we are asking for are so big and require so much that they do take some time.
So your second reason why manifestation doesn't
Yes,
happen was forcing
correct.
instead of allowing. So what I'm hearing, I think, is that what we need to doing is allowing. And part of that allowing isn't just, I think surrendering
No,
might
that's
be
a
too
good word.
passive a word, but
That's a
isn't
good
just
word.
surrendering. Okay. Isn't just surrendering, but it's also surrendering to the timing of things because I think we've had this discussion before. When I'm planning big trips, I always plan 3 potential destinations. And if the first destination I really want to go to, it's just too hard, the hotel I want isn't available or the flights aren't convenient, then to me that's indicating to me that I shouldn't be going there because I'm setting myself up for a less than optimal trip. But if I do it and it flows easy and everything's falling into place, and we have those feelings all the time when we're trying to meet a friend, when we're making dinner arrangements with people, we've got those days where everything is
Hmm.
just in flow. I think that's what I'm hearing you say about
Yeah.
timing and allowing
Yeah. Like,
things to
like
happen.
Abraham Hicks will say that there's 3 little words involved in manifestation. Always ask, believe, receive. Ask, believe, receive. Asking is what I would say the easy part. Some people can't even ask, but so you ask, right? Then you've got to believe. And believe means there might be a time gap there, but you can't give up the belief. Some things take years. I saw a Nike ad the other day and it said, "Big rings don't come easy." Brilliant marketing. Big rings don't come easy. These guys on these sports teams, they want it, but sometimes it takes a few years till they bring home the ring. And some of them never get the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Is that because they're doubting and resisting? I mean, we'll never know. But ask, believe. The believe is the gap. It's the gap between the 2 ends of the bridge, and it's the hardest part of sitting in belief and just knowing and enjoying it along the way.
Is there any action in receiving? If that's the third pillar of what it is you're talking
Yes.
about, is there more than just sitting there and
Yeah,
getting it?
for sure there is. Again, a great metaphor for this. There's a story of a man, he's drowning in the ocean. He's drowning, he's drowning. He prays to the universe, "Please save me. I'm drowning." Half an hour later, a Coast Guard comes by. "Get in the boat. You're going to drown." The guy says, "Don't worry about me. I am going to be saved by the universe." Number two, next thing you know, a helicopter comes by. "Get in. Grab the ladder. You're going to die." He says, "Don't worry about me. The universe is going to save me." And then finally, another boat comes by. "Get in the boat. You're going to die." He says, "Don't worry about me. The universe is going to save me." So he dies. Of course, he drowns. He goes to heaven. He's at the pearly gates. And he says to God, "What happened? I asked you to save me." And God says, "I sent you a helicopter. I sent you a Coast Guard. And I sent you another boat. When were you going to get on board?" You have to do something. Yes, you have to do the action. You have to you have to go on the date. You have to do the thing that is sitting right in front of you, which sometimes means you've got to go beyond your comfort zone.
Okay, you were giving us some common reasons why manifestations
So
don't
I would
happen.
say
What's
number
your
three
next
is
one?
focusing on the lack. So you want it, but you really don't have it. And because you don't have it, that keeps you stuck. And the biggest one here is money. Okay. And when we don't have the enough money to make the bills or to make the payment or whatever it is, this is where it really gets sticky because you're thinking, "Hey, great, Jennifer, I really want more money, but I can't feed myself right now, or I can't pay the rent." And that not having it keeps you stuck. And it's the hardest one. Instead of saying, "It's coming, I believe it's going to change, it can change right now. I believe that anything can happen. It can happen overnight, it can happen in a split second. It's only a matter of time." But we don't do that. We get stuck in the lack.
So, what do you do in terms of action with something like that?
You
You
take
take
the
the
steps.
steps.
And again, money is a really big topic. We'll have to spend more time on money just by itself. Because when you're without money, you
Hmm.
can feel like you're absolutely going under. Um, So that's why in these first few episodes, we're focusing on the little things right now. We're going to build up. We're doing the baby steps.
Right.
So I would say number 4 is negative self-talk and limiting beliefs. So you say you want the thing. Like I say, well, let's use my podcast as an example. I want to take this podcast. We want to take this podcast where no podcast has ever gone before. But then in comes the negative self-talk. You don't deserve that, Jennifer. Who do you think you are? You think you can do what they did? You don't have what they have. And it won't show up because that you can feel the energy. Even by my words, you can feel the energy. The energy comes down. And so when the energy is down, we attract energy that is down.
So let me throw this at you because I think you and I are of a similar ilk when we're told we can't. Our reaction is often, I'll
Yeah.
show you. How does that "I'll show you" benefit
So are you saying
in all
I'll
of
show
this?
you like I'll show you like punch in the face? Or are you saying I'll show you like watch me go? Yeah.
Watch me
That
go.
is unstoppable energy. You watch me. I might not be able to do it by myself, but I will definitely do the pieces I can. And may the universe fill in the gaps.
Well, it's interesting because often when you hear origin stories of entrepreneurs, that's exactly where they come from, is that piece where they're told you can't, you're not good enough, you don't have X, Y, or Z. And I think the X factor that pops up for many successful entrepreneurs is that piece of
Yeah.
"I'll show you,
Oh yeah.
just watch
That
me."
is got like that's octane fuel.
Is there a negative side to that? Is there a
Yeah, for
dark side
sure.
to that
Like as
piece?
long as you are not asking from a position of total greed and just wanting to rise ourselves up, you know the universe wants us to expand the universe, create more. We're here for expansion. So as long as we're expanding for the greater good, like I believe, again, back to the podcast, I believe we're helping people. I believe we're helping people, leading
Hmm.
them to greater knowledge and understanding about the power that they have. We all have it. I believe we're helping.
So it sounds to me like the antithesis of these potential common reasons is really intention. Like, what's your intention
Yeah,
in
I mean,
all of this?
intentionality has a lot to do with it, which comes back to what do you want? What do you intend to happen? What do you want for the rest of your life? What is your intention for the rest of your life? And, one of the things I would ask everybody to ask themselves is if everything that you are asking for came true today, would you be satisfied? Is it enough? Or are you really faking yourself, hiding things from yourself because you're scared to death you won't get them? But by saying it out loud, I intend for this, I really want this, I don't know how it's going to happen, but I'm open to the possibilities.
Hmm. Okay,
So,
give
number
us one
5, I
more.
would say, is ignoring inspired action. We talked about this a little bit before. You need to follow those nudges. You need to take action when the opportunities appear. If you're single and someone comes to you and says, would you like to go out and have a coffee with me tonight? And you say, no, thanks, I'm going to wash my hair. And you asked for a life partner. Hello. You've got to take action when the opportunities appear, even if they're scary sometimes, because the universe knows the direct path for you to get everything you want in your life, like a GPS, right? You pump in a
Hmm.
destination into your GPS. I'm in a big road trip across the USA right now. We pump in the next destination. The GPS knows exactly how to get us there. If you decide to take another turn, the GPS goes, you're off your route. You're off your route. You're off your route. You got to come back over here to get where you want to go. And we go off our route all the time by not following the nudges, by not taking action, by thinking we have to take things into our own hands and forcing and muscling it again. So I would say those are some of the biggest mistakes that really block people's manifestations from happening.
Okay, so great tips. So how do you
Well,
fix them?
that's the work, right? So I think we could do, maybe we do the entire next episode on how to fix that, what the tweaks are. Um, but
Okay.
I'll give you the topics, and then we can dive into them maybe more on the next episode. We've got to flip the doubt into trust. Instead of will it happen, it's already on its way. We have to detach from the outcome, right? I'd love it, but it's okay if it doesn't happen. Let it go.
Tough one to learn. And I've got to say that, detaching from outcome for me has been work that I've been doing over the last year, not necessarily as it relates to manifestation, but just as it relates to, living one's life with
Yeah,
some form of peace
absolutely.
in
And
it.
again, that is the journey. It's the joy of the journey. It's the living in the present moment. I mean, again, there's so much here, but yeah, we have to learn how to detach from the outcome. Gratitude is a big hack. I know people are like, how does that work? We'll talk
Okay.
about that. Use words like, wouldn't it be cool if, or that would blow my mind if, or that'd be kind of nice if. Like those kinds of words can be great hacks. And the fifth thing I would say is following the feeling, not the thing, right? So if you're constantly focused on um the renovation or the ring or uh the love, the partner, that's the thing. Those are the things. How about following, this feels good, I'd kind of like to go in there, I love that shop, I want to go in there, I've always wanted to go learn how to ball dance. It's following the feeling, because guess who might be at the ballroom dancing class? It's following the feeling of what makes you feel good. And the feeling good things lead you to the things.
So let's unravel that for just a minute, because I think what's interesting around following the feeling is sometimes we look at the thing and we make an assumption around a feeling. How do you decide if it's the
It's not
right
a decision,
feeling?
it's a feeling. You will know. It's in your body. You know when something happens and you go, and in
Okay.
deep down, it doesn't sit right with you, but you might not have the
Sure.
wherewithal to say something about it. It's the feeling. Don't go there. Maybe they're not the right person. Maybe you shouldn't be in that place. Maybe they're not the right group for you anymore. It's the feeling. And the feeling works both ways. You follow the good feelings and you get away from the bad feelings.
What about people who can't trust, don't trust their gut? Where does that come from, do you
Good
think?
boy, that is a biggie. Like, I don't know, like so many places, like we don't have time for that. But there's a saying that gut is God. Gut is God. So if your gut is speaking to you, you're really being spoken to by the
Yeah.
universe. And the universe is saying, we don't like this. Or yes, give me more, give me more, give me more. This feels so good. Being around certain people makes you feel so good. It's those warm and fuzzy feelings. Start tapping into more of those. Where are you feeling those things? Where are you being led? What feels good? What feels good?
It could be argued, though, that there are people who, and I'm guilty of this too, no question, who try to feel good and are using things that are not particularly to their benefit to feel good. Like, you know what, me, that tub of ice cream on a Saturday night and a sad movie is probably not good for me, because you're stuffing
Totally you are.
feelings in
And I
some
mean,
way.
again, this is a really, really big topic that we'll spend time, with the best of my knowledge and my understanding and my point of view, debunking. But, you know, we are human. We are human. Yes, we are
Yeah.
spirit, but we are human. So we are going to have human reactions to human problems, right? But we all know when we're stuffing our face at 9 o'clock at night, we're usually either bored or we're stuffing down feelings. And learning to feel the feels is, I hate that saying. I don't know why I said that, but you know, but they say like learn to feel the feels, because when you follow the feeling, not the thing, manifestation starts to happen much faster.
So I come back to, is that a decision? Is that
Yes.
something you decide to follow a feeling versus sort of being
Yes, it's
carried
totally a
along?
decision. Again, this is mind work, right? We can think a good thought, we can think a bad thought. We have the power to change our mind. I know I have a friend who one day came home and she just said, I'm not eating meat anymore. I have decided I'm not eating meat anymore. And she never ate meat or meat products again. We hear it all the time. I'm quitting smoking. I'm giving up the
Mm-hmm.
bottle. Like people make big decisions overnight all the time. Why can't we make decisions about the things we think about which cause how we feel? We can. It just takes work. There is work. This is the work.
Oh, wow. Okay, this is the work. I think perhaps it's time for
Sure.
another challenge.
So last time we went one bigger than a cup of coffee. You manifested a couple of dinners and a couple of cruises. um, so I think a new challenge this week for everybody might be, instead of focusing on something specific, like I want a renovation or I want a boyfriend, whatever that is, spend some time focusing on a feeling. So focus on the feeling of joy, focus on the feeling of abundance, focus on the feeling of love. For example, if manifesting money hasn't worked in the past, why not focus on feeling abundant instead? And I'll give you an example. There are so many examples of abundance in this world, and we take it for granted. So, for example, I'm looking out. I'm recording this in the truck right now, and I'm looking out to a gravel um, RV pad, and it is filled with more little white pebbles than I could ever count. There's so many pebbles there. There's an abundance of pebbles right outside my door. There's 1,000 cypress trees on this property. There are more picnic tables than I could probably count. If we start to look for abundance and think about how we feel when we really focus on that, that's the feeling, right? So, again, if you're looking for love, let's say you're looking for love, you're looking for a boyfriend, focus on how you feel when you're deeply loved in any way. When one of your friends looks in your eyes with real feeling, how you feel when somebody invited you out for dinner twice this week. How did you feel? You felt loved. Focus. Abraham Hicks says, milk the feeling. Feel the feeling of what it felt like to um, get any kind of love in any way, and start milking the feeling and watch what happens. Because when we focus on a feeling, more of those feelings come. And at the end of the day, the only reason you want what you want anyway is because you want to feel the way you feel when you get those things. We have to learn to feel it without them.
Okay. I absolutely think that that's doable. And I think it's probably just generally um, a whole practice for a
Totally.
whole
So,
soul,
I mean, I think next time
right?
we can
It,
talk about how we, this is a tough one, I think. Focusing on feelings, I think, is tough. So, I think we're jumping into the advanced class a little early, but it's great. So, and I think we could spend some more time talking about how to fix, how to fix, how to fix the mistakes and what the tweaks are to get you closer to where you want to be.
Terrific. Well, I think it's been a great chat, Jen. I really appreciate it. And I think we've got lots of learnings that are popping up for us. And I hope you're manifesting an
I
amazing
certainly
life
am.
yourself.
I'd love to tell you about what happened next episode, which was the part 2 of my New Orleans journey. So maybe we can dive into that. But,
Yes.
here's my call to action to everybody on the call or everybody listening. If you've ever had a no way, this is random manifestation, I want you to send it in. Something that came in out of the blue that you didn't expect, that you didn't see coming, and you're like, whoa, where did this come from? We want to hear about it. Let's discuss it.
Absolutely. Okay, well, thank you, everybody. If you want to send us your feedback, it's info@truthanddare.ca. Thank you for tuning in to Manifest This, Believer versus Skeptic. We hope today's episode left you feeling curious, wondering, and ready to listen again. Remember to subscribe, share, and connect with us for more conversations bridging belief and skepticism.
So until next time, keep setting those intentions, challenging those doubts, and creating the reality you desire. Stay tuned for the next episode.